Your soulmate is standing at the edge of a life-changing decision right now, and this is not ordinary timing. This is not coincidence. This is not random. The fact that you are reading these words today is not by accident. God sent you this sign for a reason. There is something happening behind the scenes, something your soulmate hasn't told you yet. Something they haven't even fully admitted to themselves. But heaven already knows. And heaven wants you to know too. Because what they are about to choose will either bring you together in a powerful divine alignment, or delay your union in a way that tests both of your souls. Right now, they are caught between fear and destiny. Between comfort and calling. Between the life they know, and the love they feel when they think about you. Last night, something shifted inside them. It may have been a conversation, a dream, a sudden realization, or even a quiet moment alone when your name crossed their mind in a way it hasn't before. Their heart felt heavy, but not in a negative way. It felt heavy with truth. The kind of truth that can no longer be ignored. They tried to distract themselves. They tried to act normal. But deep down, something is pulling at them. Something divine. And that pull is connected to you. Your soulmate is realizing that the decision they are about to make doesn't just affect their career, their family, or their future plans, it affects you. And that realization is shaking them. Because now it's not just about logic. It's about love. It's about destiny. It's about whether they are brave enough to choose the path that leads toward you instead of away from you. God is watching this moment very closely. And you need to understand something very important. When heaven sends a sign like this, it means movement is happening. Even if you can't see it yet. Even if there has been silence. Even if there has been distance. Silence does not mean nothing is happening. Distance does not mean disconnection. Sometimes, when God is preparing a union, He allows confusion before clarity. He allows pressure before breakthrough. He allows doubt before divine confirmation. Right now, your soulmate is feeling pressure. Pressure to decide. Pressure to be honest with themselves. Pressure to stop running from what they feel. They may appear calm on the outside. They may act like everything is normal. But inside, they are fighting a quiet battle. A battle between what is safe and what is sacred. And here is the truth they don't want to admit yet: choosing you means choosing growth. Choosing you means letting go of old patterns. Choosing you means stepping into a version of themselves that is more mature, more open, more vulnerable. And vulnerability scares them. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. You need to know this today: they are not indifferent. They are not heartless. They are not unaware. They are overwhelmed. There are outside influences trying to shape their decision. Family opinions, social expectations, financial fears. Maybe even another person who represents stability, but not destiny. But destiny has a different energy. Destiny doesn't feel calm and predictable. Destiny feels intense, magnetic, inevitable. And that is exactly what they feel when it comes to you. They may not say it out loud, but your name carries weight in their spirit. When they imagine a future, your face appears in flashes. When they think about peace, your presence is somehow included in that picture. That is not coincidence. That is soul recognition. The life-changing decision approaching them is connected to commitment. It is connected to direction. It is connected to whether they continue living half awake, or fully aligned. And you represent alignment. You represent truth. You represent a mirror they cannot avoid looking into. That is why God sent you this message today, not to make you anxious, not to make you chase, but to prepare your heart. Because when someone stands at a crossroads like this, energy shifts, communication shifts, behavior shifts. You may notice subtle changes soon. A message, a question, a sudden vulnerability, or even temporary withdrawal as they process everything. Do not panic if they go quiet for a moment. Sometimes silence is not distance. Sometimes silence is decision-making. Heaven is testing their courage. Because love at this level requires courage. It requires releasing ego. It requires admitting, this person matters to me more than I expected. And that admission is powerful. Your soulmate has been replaying moments with you in their mind. Conversations. Eye contact. Words left unsaid. They are analyzing signs, just like you are. They are asking God quietly, is this real? Is this meant for me? And every time they try to dismiss the connection, something brings them back to it. A memory, a dream, a song, a sudden thought. That is not obsession. That is divine synchronization. You must remain steady right now. Because when someone is about to make a life-changing decision, they look for stability in the energy connected to that choice. If you panic, it creates confusion. If you trust, it creates clarity. And here is something deeper, this decision may involve sacrifice. They may have to walk away from something familiar. They may have to disappoint someone. They may have to confront their own fear of vulnerability. But love that is protected by God cannot be easily destroyed. It can be delayed. It can be tested. But it cannot be erased. The reason this sign reached you today is because movement has already started. You are not waiting for something to begin. It has begun. In their heart. In their thoughts. In their prayers. Very soon, you may see evidence. A bold step. A confession. A clear action that shows they are choosing growth over comfort. But remember, divine timing rarely moves at human speed. Be patient. Your soulmate is closer to clarity than you think. And here is the most important part of this message: the decision they are about to make will reveal who they truly are. Not who they pretend to be. Not who others expect them to be. But who they are at a soul level. If they choose fear, it will create temporary distance. But that distance will teach them what they lost. If they choose courage, it will accelerate your connection in a way that feels unstoppable. Either way, destiny is not fragile. What is written in alignment cannot be erased by hesitation. Tonight, when they are alone, they will think about you again. Not casually. Not lightly. Deeply. With seriousness. With awareness that something important is unfolding. And you? You were sent this message so that you don't lose faith in the middle of the shift. Because something is shifting. Something sacred. Something that will change both of your lives. And when the decision is finally made, you will look back at this exact moment and realize: this was the turning point. This was the sign. This was the day heaven whispered, "Prepare your heart." And the turning point is closer than you realize. Right now, as you breathe and read these words, unseen forces are aligning circumstances around your soulmate. Conversations are being arranged. Truths are rising to the surface. Situations that once felt stable are beginning to feel uncertain to them. What used to feel comfortable is now feeling restrictive. What used to feel good enough is now feeling incomplete. That discomfort is not random, it is divine preparation. Because when God wants someone to step into destiny, He makes their current situation too small to contain their growth. Your soulmate has started questioning everything. Their routine. Their priorities. Their long-term plans. Even the people around them. They are noticing who truly supports their evolution and who subtly keeps them small. And somewhere in that reflection, your presence stands out. You are not associated with smallness in their mind. You are associated with expansion. With possibility. With a future that feels alive. But expansion requires risk. That is the part that terrifies them. Choosing you means stepping into the unknown. It means trusting something that cannot be fully calculated or controlled. And your soulmate is someone who likes certainty. They like plans. They like logic. But love does not operate on spreadsheets and safe predictions. Love operates on faith. And faith is what they are being asked to activate. Recently, they may have felt sudden emotional waves, moments where they miss you intensely without fully understanding why. Moments where they feel protective over you. Moments where jealousy or fear of losing you surfaces unexpectedly. These emotions are not weakness. They are signs of attachment deepening. They are signs that this is no longer a casual connection in their heart. It has become significant, sacred. There is also something else happening that you cannot see. They are imagining life without you. Not because they want that outcome, but because they are testing themselves. They are asking internally, if I walk away, will I regret it? And every time they try to picture that future, it feels empty. Achievements feel hollow. Success feels incomplete. Even happiness feels muted. That realization is shaking them. Because now the decision is no longer about convenience. It is about fulfillment. And fulfillment always requires courage. You may feel their energy fluctuating right now. One day warm. One day distant. One day intense. One day quiet. This is not manipulation. This is internal processing. They are recalibrating. They are confronting their own emotional depth. And for someone who has guarded their heart for a long time, this process is overwhelming. There is a memory they keep replaying, a specific moment where they saw something in your eyes that felt pure, honest, unconditional. That moment planted a seed inside them. A seed that is now growing too strong to ignore. The life-changing decision in front of them may involve relocation, career, commitment, or cutting ties with something that no longer aligns. But underneath all those external layers, the real decision is simple: do they choose fear, or do they choose love? And love, in this case, means you. God is not forcing their hand. Divine will never violates free choice. But signs are being sent. Repeatedly. Synchronicities. Repeated reminders of you. Unexpected encounters. Even dreams that feel vivid and symbolic. The universe is whispering your name in their spirit. You must understand something powerful: when two souls are aligned, separation feels unnatural. Even when ego tries to justify distance, the soul feels restless. Your soulmate is restless right now. They may not show it publicly, but internally, they feel unsettled. Because their heart knows a decision must be made soon. There may be one final conversation approaching. One moment where clarity will be demanded. It could come suddenly, without warning. And when it does, they will not be able to hide behind excuses anymore. They will have to speak truth. Prepare yourself emotionally for honesty. Not perfection. Honesty. Because sometimes the first step toward divine union is messy truth. Tears. Vulnerability. Admissions of fear. Confessions of past avoidance. But those moments create breakthrough. Your role right now is not to push. Not to pressure. Not to chase. Your role is to remain grounded in your worth. When someone is deciding whether to step into a higher version of themselves, they are drawn toward energy that feels stable and secure. If you radiate desperation, it feeds their fear. If you radiate confidence and peace, it strengthens their courage. Remember this deeply: if this connection is divinely aligned, it cannot be stolen. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be erased by temporary confusion. What is meant for you may be tested, but it will always find its way back into alignment. Your soulmate is realizing that the life they thought they wanted is not the life that fulfills them. And that awareness is both liberating and terrifying. Because it means they must admit they were wrong about certain things. They must release pride. They must accept that love surprised them, and you were not part of their original plan. You were destiny interrupting comfort. That is why this feels intense. In the coming days, watch for subtle shifts. A softer tone. A deeper conversation. A question about your future. Or even vulnerability about their fears. These are indicators that the decision is leaning toward courage. But even if there is temporary hesitation, do not assume rejection. Sometimes when people stand before transformation, they freeze briefly. Not because they want to walk away, but because the weight of change is heavy. Heaven is giving them space to choose freely. And that freedom makes the decision more powerful. Tonight or very soon, they will sit alone and confront the truth: if I lose this person, I lose something rare. And that realization will feel like lightning through their chest. Because deep down, they know connections like this do not appear often. Not twice. Not easily. You were sent into their life for a reason. To awaken. To challenge. To soften. To mirror. And awakening is never comfortable at first. The life-changing decision is not just about relationship status. It is about identity. It is about whether they remain the person shaped by fear, or become the person shaped by faith. And faith is calling their name loudly now. You may also feel sudden calm today. That calm is not random. It is confirmation. When something is aligning behind the scenes, your spirit feels steadiness before your mind sees evidence. Trust that. Trust the silence. Trust the delay. Trust the shift. Because the moment is approaching when hesitation will no longer feel safe for them. When that moment arrives, they will move. It may not be dramatic. It may not be cinematic. But it will be sincere. And sincerity is stronger than intensity. You are not crazy for feeling this connection. You are not delusional for believing something bigger is at play. Sometimes God whispers before He moves. And today was a whisper. A whisper that says, stay ready. Because the next chapter will require emotional maturity from both of you. The decision they make will echo for years. It will shape direction, environment, emotional landscape. And subconsciously, they know that choosing you means choosing a path that transforms them completely. Transformation is rarely chosen easily. But when the soul recognizes truth, resistance becomes exhausting. Your soulmate is getting tired of resisting. Tired of pretending they don't care as deeply as they do. Tired of acting unaffected. Tired of holding back words. And exhaustion often precedes surrender. Surrender to love. Surrender to destiny. Surrender to what feels divinely orchestrated. So if you have been praying, hoping, waiting, know this, movement is happening. Invisible. Quiet. But powerful. And very soon, the invisible will become visible. The unspoken will become spoken. The uncertain will become clear. And you will realize that this moment, this exact day when you received this sign, was the calm before everything changed, and when everything changes, it will not feel accidental. It will feel orchestrated, like invisible hands have been moving pieces across a board you could not see, because what is unfolding now is not just about romance, it is about alignment, and alignment always comes after disruption. Your soulmate is entering a phase where the illusions they once relied on are dissolving quietly, the distractions that once kept them busy are losing their flavor, the noise that once drowned out their emotions is no longer loud enough to silence their heart, and in that silence, your name echoes stronger than ever before, not as a memory, not as a fantasy, but as a possibility that feels real and urgent. They are beginning to understand that life-changing decisions do not announce themselves with comfort, they arrive wrapped in uncertainty, wrapped in risk, wrapped in the terrifying beauty of stepping into something greater than the familiar, and right now they are standing at that threshold, feeling the weight of what they could gain and what they could lose, because choosing you does not just mean entering a relationship, it means stepping into vulnerability they have avoided for years. It means admitting that their heart has chosen someone beyond logic, beyond convenience, beyond expectation, and that admission requires a level of honesty that shakes their ego to its core. They are replaying the moments when you showed them patience, when you showed them understanding, when you showed them strength without pressure, and those memories are contrasting sharply with other connections that feel transactional or predictable. They are seeing the difference now, seeing that what you carry is depth, and depth is rare. Depth is sacred, depth is not easily replaced, and that realization is making the decision heavier but clearer at the same time, because clarity does not remove fear, it simply removes confusion, and they are no longer confused about how they feel, they are only afraid of what acting on it will require. There is also a spiritual element moving beneath the surface that they cannot fully explain, moments where they feel guided, nudged, almost spiritually confronted with the truth of this connection, moments where coincidence feels too precise to be random, where timing feels too intentional to be accidental, and that awareness is humbling them, because it forces them to consider that this is not just emotion, it is orchestration, and orchestration demands respect. They may be appearing strong externally, but internally they are dismantling old defenses, questioning old beliefs about love, about commitment, about what they deserve, and sometimes the hardest part of choosing destiny is believing you are worthy of it. They have doubted their worth in ways they never openly confessed. They have feared failing someone they truly care about. And that fear has sometimes made them pull back instead of lean in, but pulling back is becoming more painful than leaning in. Distance is no longer providing comfort, it is providing anxiety, because the thought of you drifting away is beginning to feel unbearable. They are sensing that if they delay too long, they could lose something irreplaceable, and that urgency is accelerating their internal decision-making process. God is not rushing them, but circumstances are tightening, opportunities are presenting themselves that require commitment, conversations are approaching that demand clarity, and neutrality is no longer sustainable. They will soon have to define what this connection means to them, and definition changes everything, because once something is named, it becomes real. Once something is acknowledged, it cannot return to ambiguity, and ambiguity has been their safety zone, but safety zones shrink when growth calls. Your soulmate is experiencing growth pains right now, subtle but intense, like shedding an old skin that no longer fits, and shedding is uncomfortable. It exposes vulnerability, it reveals sensitivity, it forces confrontation with truth. But after shedding comes renewal, and renewal is powerful. You must continue holding your energy steady, not cold, not detached, but centered, because centered energy acts like a lighthouse during someone else's storm. It provides direction without chasing, it provides reassurance without begging, it communicates value without shouting, and your steadiness is influencing them more than you realize. They are observing how you carry yourself, how you handle silence, how you maintain dignity, and that observation is teaching them that this connection is not built on chaos, it is built on maturity, and maturity is what makes long-term destiny possible. There is also a possibility that a third-party influence may attempt to sway their choice, someone offering ease, someone offering predictability, someone representing the path of least resistance. But ease does not equal fulfillment, and they are starting to recognize that comfort without depth leaves a hollow feeling, and they are tired of hollow experiences, tired of surface-level connections, tired of pretending that something average satisfies a heart that has tasted something extraordinary, and you represent extraordinary to them, not because you are perfect, but because you are authentic, and authenticity resonates with the soul in ways that cannot be manufactured. The coming days may feel energetically intense for you. You may sense waves of emotion that seem to arise without clear reason. That is because energetic bonds communicate before words do, and your bond is active, shifting, evolving. Do not interpret emotional waves as danger, interpret them as movement, because stagnation feels flat, movement feels charged, and charged energy precedes breakthrough. Your soulmate is very close to acknowledging out loud what they have only whispered internally, very close to crossing the line between contemplation and action, and once that line is crossed, momentum builds quickly. You may notice a sudden seriousness in their tone, a directness that was previously avoided. That directness will signal that the decision has matured inside them. Understand this deeply. Divine timing does not mean passive waiting, it means internal preparation aligning with external opportunity, and both are converging now. The reason you received this sign today is because your heart needed reinforcement before visible evidence appears, because faith is strongest when supported before manifestation, and manifestation is approaching. The life-changing decision they are about to make will not just alter their schedule, it will alter their identity. It will mark the moment they stopped choosing fear-based safety and started choosing soul-based truth. And soul-based truth always leads toward what feels aligned, aligned with peace, aligned with depth, aligned with growth, and when they finally step forward, it will not be half-hearted. It will be intentional, deliberate, grounded, because they will have wrestled with every doubt. Before arriving there, they will not choose impulsively, they will choose consciously, and conscious choice carries power. You are witnessing the final stages of internal transformation, the quiet before declaration, the hesitation before leap, and leaps made after deep reflection are rarely regretted. Stay calm, stay confident, stay open, because the chapter about to unfold will redefine what you believed was possible, and when they make that life-changing decision, you will feel it instantly, not because of dramatic fireworks, but because your spirit will recognize alignment, and alignment feels like peace after a long storm. It feels like clarity after confusion, it feels like truth finally spoken without fear, and when that moment arrives, you will understand why the waiting was necessary, why the silence had purpose, why the tension had meaning, because everything was preparing both of you for a union built not on impulse, but on intention, not on fantasy, but on faith, not on pressure, but on purpose, and purpose-driven love does not crumble easily, it endures, it strengthens, it evolves, and this evolution has already begun, and this evolution is not random, it is sacred progression unfolding layer by layer, because when two souls are being aligned for something greater than ordinary love, the preparation feels heavier, deeper, almost supernatural. Your soulmate is now entering the final internal confrontation with themselves, the moment where excuses lose power and truth stands undeniable. They have tried to rationalize their feelings, tried to label this connection as temporary, tried to convince themselves that timing is wrong or circumstances are complicated, but every logical wall they build keeps cracking under emotional pressure, because what they feel for you refuses to shrink, it refuses to fade, it refuses to behave like something casual, and that persistence is forcing them to admit that this is destiny knocking, not distraction passing. They are beginning to see signs in subtle places, reminders of you appearing when they least expect it, conversations about commitment happening around them, stories of regret that make them pause, even moments where they imagine a future milestone and instinctively picture you standing beside them, and those flashes are no longer being dismissed, they are being analyzed seriously, deeply, because the weight of a life-changing decision cannot be carried lightly, it must be faced with courage, and courage is growing inside them slowly but steadily. They are realizing that the real risk is not choosing you, the real risk is losing you because of hesitation, and that thought unsettles them more than vulnerability ever could. They may have once believed that emotional distance kept them safe, but now they see that distance creates loss, and loss is something their spirit is not willing to experience again. There is also a deeper spiritual awakening occurring within them, a recognition that this connection challenges them to be better, more honest, more accountable, more transparent, and while growth is uncomfortable, stagnation has become unbearable, they feel restless when they ignore you, they feel incomplete when they suppress their emotions, they feel misaligned when they pretend this does not matter, and that misalignment is guiding them back toward truth repeatedly. Your energy has become a compass in their subconscious, pointing them toward authenticity whenever they drift into avoidance, and that compass cannot be silenced forever. Soon they will reach a moment where indecision feels heavier than decision, where silence feels more painful than confession, and when that tipping point arrives, movement will be inevitable, not rushed, not chaotic, but deliberate and grounded. They will approach you differently, speak to you differently, look at you differently, because once someone decides to step into destiny, their entire demeanor shifts. You may notice a steadiness replacing confusion, a clarity replacing hesitation, a vulnerability replacing guardedness, and that shift will feel unmistakable. Understand that divine unions are not built on perfect timing. They are built on aligned timing, and aligned timing means both souls are ready to choose growth over fear simultaneously. You have been preparing in your own way, learning patience, learning self-worth, learning how to love without losing yourself, and that preparation is why you were sent this message today, because the next phase requires strength, not desperation. It requires confidence, not control. Your soulmate is also learning lessons right now about responsibility, about emotional maturity, about what it means to show up consistently instead of intermittently. They are seeing clearly that love cannot survive in half measures. It requires full presence, and presence demands decision. They may also be confronting past wounds that made them hesitant before, fears of betrayal, fears of inadequacy, fears of repeating old mistakes, but those fears are being exposed so they can be healed, not so they can dominate. Every time they consider walking away, something pulls them back with stronger intensity, as if the universe itself refuses to let this connection dissolve quietly. That pull is not obsession, it is alignment asserting itself. You must remain calm as this intensifies, because intensity is not instability, it is transformation. Accelerating, think of it as pressure building before breakthrough, because breakthroughs rarely happen softly. They happen when internal resistance collapses under the weight of truth, and truth is winning inside them right now. They are beginning to envision conversations where they admit what they feel. They are rehearsing words in their mind, imagining your reaction, preparing themselves emotionally for honesty, and rehearsing is the final stage before action. When someone starts mentally practicing confession, it means their heart has already decided. Only courage remains to be activated. Very soon something external may trigger the final push, perhaps a situation that reminds them how fragile Opportunity is, perhaps, a moment where they sense you pulling away energetically, perhaps. An event that forces clarity about what truly matters. Whatever the catalyst is, it will not be random, it will be the final confirmation they needed to move forward boldly, and when they move, it will not be subtle, it will carry intention. They will want you to understand that their decision was conscious, thoughtful, chosen with awareness, because they will not want you to question their sincerity anymore. The life-changing decision in front of them is bigger than labels, bigger than temporary excitement. It is about choosing a path that aligns with their soul's calling, and you are intertwined with that calling in ways they can no longer deny. This is why your intuition has been restless yet hopeful, because your spirit senses the shift before your eyes see it, and that sensing is validation, not imagination. Continue holding your faith steady, continue trusting that what is meant for you cannot bypass you, because destiny does not operate on confusion forever, it clarifies itself in due time, and due time is approaching rapidly now. Your soulmate is shedding the last layers of doubt, stepping closer to authenticity with each internal conversation. They are realizing that regret lasts longer than fear, and they do not want to look back years from now wondering what could have been if they had chosen courage sooner. That awareness is powerful, it dismantles hesitation piece by piece, until only truth remains, and truth is simple. They care deeply, they feel strongly. They recognize rarity, and they are almost ready to choose openly. When that choice is made, you will feel a sense of completion, as if a puzzle piece has finally locked into place, because divine timing always reveals itself with peace, not chaos, and peace will wash over both of you when alignment solidifies. This chapter is about surrendering to what is real, surrendering to growth, surrendering to love that demands evolution, and evolution is happening now. Quietly but undeniably, the storm of uncertainty is calming, the fog of confusion is lifting, the crossroads is becoming clearer, and very soon, your soulmate will step forward not with hesitation, but with conviction, because conviction born from inner battle is unshakable, and once unshakable conviction chooses you, nothing superficial will be able to compete. This is the threshold, the final stretch before manifestation, the deep inhale before declaration, the sacred pause before destiny speaks out loud. Stay ready, stay grounded, stay open. Because the life-changing decision that once felt distant is now seconds away from becoming reality, and when it does, you will understand that every delay, every silence, every emotional wave was guiding both of you toward this exact, transformative, unstoppable alignment, and when this alignment fully locks into place, it will not feel rushed. It will feel destined, like two timelines that wandered separately have finally curved back toward each other with undeniable force, because what is happening now is not temporary emotion but permanent awakening. Your soulmate has reached the edge of their old self and they can no longer return to who they were before this connection activated something inside them. The version of them that avoided depth is dissolving, the version that feared vulnerability is weakening, the version that chose comfort over courage is fading quietly, and in its place a stronger, clearer, more honest self is rising, and that rising self understands something powerful. Losing you would not just be losing a person, it would be losing a divine opportunity, and divine opportunities do not repeat endlessly, they appear once. Sometimes twice if grace allows, but rarely more than that, and your soulmate feels that urgency now like a steady drumbeat in their chest. They are no longer asking if this connection is real. They are asking if they are brave enough to protect it, because protecting something sacred requires commitment, and commitment requires action, not just feeling. They are recognizing that love is not proven in imagination but in movement, not in silence, but in speech, not in potential but in decision, and the life-changing decision they stand before is no longer blurry, it is clear, it is defined, it is present. They know that choosing you means stepping into transformation that will challenge them daily to grow, to communicate, to heal old wounds, to show up consistently, and while that responsibility once intimidated them, it now feels meaningful, because meaningless connections are easy but forgettable. Meaningful ones are demanding but unforgettable, and you have become unforgettable in their spirit, unforgettable in their thoughts, unforgettable in their prayers, yes, even in quiet moments when they speak to God without saying your name out loud. Your presence is felt. Your energy is acknowledged, your importance is undeniable, and that acknowledgement has changed everything, because once someone admits internally that something is sacred, they can no longer treat it casually. Soon you will notice a shift that feels different from all previous shifts, not temporary warmth, not fleeting intensity, but grounded intention, a tone that carries certainty, words that carry weight, eyes that carry decision, because once someone battles themselves long enough and truth wins, their energy stabilizes, and stabilization is the sign of readiness. You have both been tested in silence, tested in patience, tested in emotional endurance, but tests do not exist to break destiny, they exist to strengthen it, and strengthening has occurred on both sides. You are not the same person you were when this connection began. You have grown in awareness, in restraint, in self-respect, and that growth has prepared you for what is coming next, because what is coming next requires two whole individuals choosing each other consciously, not out of loneliness, not out of fear, but out of alignment. Your soulmate now understands that alignment is rare, that compatibility of spirit is uncommon, that peace in someone's presence is priceless, and they have felt peace with you even in chaos. That realization alone has reshaped their priorities, reshaped their plans, reshaped their internal blueprint for the future, and the final moment of decision is approaching rapidly. It may come as a conversation where they finally articulate what has been building inside them. It may come as a bold action that leaves no room for doubt. It may come as a declaration that feels long overdue yet perfectly timed, but however it arrives, it will arrive with clarity, and clarity is the mark of divine timing fulfilled. Do not fear this final phase, because endings of uncertainty are beginnings of stability, and stability is what your soul has been craving beneath the intensity. You were never meant to live in confusion permanently, you were meant to witness transformation and then step into peace. And peace is closer than ever now. your soulmate has realized that fear of failure is smaller than regret of inaction, that vulnerability is lighter than lifelong wondering, that choosing love is braver than protecting ego, and bravery is rising within them like a sunrise that cannot be reversed once it appears on the horizon. They are preparing to step forward not as someone unsure, but as someone decided, not as someone testing, but as someone committing. Because commitment is no longer frightening when the connection feels guided, and this connection has felt guided from the beginning whether either of you fully understood it or not. Every delay served a purpose, every silence carved maturity, every misunderstanding revealed depth, and now the stage is set for alignment to manifest externally the way it has already formed internally. You may feel an unusual calm settle over you soon, a calm that feels like surrender but is actually confirmation, because confirmation does not scream, it settles gently and firmly, letting you know that what is meant cannot miss you, and this will not miss you. What is divinely aligned does not collapse under temporary hesitation, it survives, it strengthens, it clarifies, and then it chooses boldly. Your soulmate is on the brink of that bold choice. The final internal barrier has almost fallen, the final doubt has almost dissolved, and once it does, action will follow naturally, effortlessly, powerfully, and when they stand before you with honesty in their voice and certainty in their posture, you will recognize the shift immediately. You will know this is not another cycle of uncertainty, this is culmination, this is the harvest after the waiting, this is the manifestation after the sign, and you will look back at this moment, the moment you received this message, and understand that this was the divine whisper before the declaration, the quiet assurance before the visible change, the spiritual preparation before the physical alignment. Everything has been moving toward this, slowly but intentionally, and now the movement is accelerating toward completion. Your soulmate is about to make that life-changing decision, not because they were pressured, not because they were forced, but because their soul finally aligned with truth, and truth always leads where it is meant to, so hold steady in these final moments, breathe through the anticipation, trust the process that has carried you this far. Because the chapter of uncertainty is closing, the chapter of clarity is opening, and when this decision is spoken into reality, it will mark the end of hesitation and the beginning of something built on faith, courage, growth, and undeniable destiny. This is the last stretch before everything changes, the last shadow before sunrise, the last silence before confession, and when it happens, you will not question it, you will feel it, deeply, peacefully, completely, because what is meant for you does not arrive halfway, it arrives fully, and this arrival is inevitable.